I just thought of verse 9, the second half of it, where it says, well, I guess read all of it. She will place on your heads a she will place on your head a graceful garland. She will bestow on you a beautiful crown. And it's talking about, wisdom there, right?
Hmm.
When I see the word crown, it reminds me of Proverbs 12:4 that says, "An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame
Yeah,
is like rottenness in his bones," right? So,
that is a great connection.
right. So it's I no, I think it would be I think you hear we're talking about in the group text on like that Michael sent out. We're talking about he sent one about the women in the Bible, and I mentioned that I was doing a study on that too. And when you look at the genealogy of Yeshua, there's four women there, and the first three um, don't have a very good background, and then you have Mary, and she had a hard time and all this stuff, but you know the wisdom that they had as well. um, it's important to resemble that with a wife, because I think that we think of a man being strong and wise and all these other things, but I don't think we might take for granted the fact that you know your other half, your wife, brings so much to the table to make it all complete, and does provide a lot of wisdom and temperament. um Balance is supposed to, at least, it's supposed to balance you out. And I
Hmm.
think a good wife, it allows you to have that, and then that's when, once you both have reached that level, then you become echat one, so that's it made me think of that, like, okay, crown, wisdom, wife.
Yeah, I think that's a really good connection. And that kind of, Solomon likes to show, to portray wisdom as a woman or as a female character, and foolishness too, for that matter. But it really made me think about the one specific aspect of the Proverbs 31 woman. There's there's this one verse in there that just seems kind of out of place when it says that her husband sits among the elders, sits in the gates of the city among the elders. Well, what does that have to do with the Proverbs 31 woman? It's because she is, in her wisdom and the respect that she has in the community, all that rubs off on him because the community respects her so much, he looks better too. And so he's elevated in the sight of everyone around him. And her activities in upholding the home and in supporting him in his business or ministry or mission, whatever it is, enables him to become one of those elders.
Because if you look through it, I mean, that lady sounds like Superwoman, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she's super busy and doing so many things. And now that I read the scriptures more and more, a lot of people, atheists or other people, think that the scriptures have the woman as second rate, right? Or just a second citizen or something like that. And I really don't see that in the
Mm-hmm.
scriptures. I see them being placed in a very high regard in many ways. And I think if people took enough time to kind of read the scriptures, I think they'll recognize that there's not one is better than the other or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
We just have our own roles. But if you look, read Proverbs 31, it's incredible that she can do all those things, and it's true, because if he's at the gates, right, that means he's a very important man making decisions there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, to allow him to take time to focus on those things while she's doing something else, it allows him to, increase the kingdom, or increase, whatever business venture he has, and make the community better. And, you're right. It was that saying, behind every great man, there's a great woman. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
they say?
Yep.
I think so. That has to be true. Has to be true.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, a couple things about that is that when somebody told me once, Proverbs 31 is not a day in the life. I mean, that's like not a description of her actual day. It's more of a description of like her life and how she lives her lifestyle. And and that was very encouraging to me because up until that point I was like, dude, I will never be cool. But
Hmm.
you know, when you talk about the husband in the gates, the thought occurs to me that a wife's honor. So you were talking about if she is respected, he is respected. That honor is something that her husband has the privilege of carrying with him, but also her dishonor. So if she's a gossip, if she's not respected, if
Hmm.
she's lazy, if she's slovenly, all of those things, he also carries that as well. And I think as women, that's a really important thing to do because I know, I mean, we'll be married 28 years on Saturday. And I know that when I am behaving honorably, that Brian knows he can trust me. He
Hmm.
knows that as he goes out in the world, his house is being cared for, his reputation is being protected, his children are being served, it's not that I have to do everything perfectly. I'm not, making clothes, grinding wheat, and feeding my maidservants all in one day or anything, but that I am being honorable with the responsibilities that are in front of me. And so that gives him confidence and strength as he goes out and about in the world. And that is a privilege that we as women have. Even unmarried women, when we consider that, I think of girls that I know that are single that want to devote their lives to the Lord, that the honor and the integrity that they live their lives with is not that God needs it in order for him to be confident in his role,
Hmm.
but he's not carrying his reputation is not being tarnished. And, because as
Right.
we are the bride, right? As we are the bride corporately, are we working to build up his reputation or are we tearing down his reputation? So, and then also what you're talking, Proverbs 12:4, he who brings shame is like rottenness to his bones. That's cancer. That's literally bone cancer. I mean, it's like a very just, like that's what happens when you have
Hmm.
bone cancer. And I was just thinking about, you know, wisdom. And since we're talking in Proverbs 4 about wisdom bringing honor, and that those without it, it's like a cancer. Foolishness, those who deny doing what is right and what is wise. It is like being riddled with cancer, and everything about you is compromised.